All right, in this video, I'm gonna keep going with the portrait and start building up the darks and adding more color into the face and making things a bit lighter and cooler as well, and adding a bit more detail. The nose area here. And this other area right here. If you are losing your edges, you do need to find them again and to make sure that those edges are helping to define the form. What I'm doing now is I'm just starting to add some detail, taking my stiffer brush and moving that light around and kind of dry brushing on top. You could do this with your fingers as well. I just find that I'll put the paint on there with a softer brush and then go in with a harder brush to move things around. What I'm doing now is making sure that these areas stay light. I'm slowly building up these spots. Defining the form, making some of these other areas that I know is really fine a little lighter, going in with a smaller brush and pushing these spots. I'm going to start detailing this area even more so. Pushing the lights around her eyes. Not being afraid to put some of those highlights on there. Help it brighten up her face a bit more. I'm going to go ahead and define this area just a little bit more. This area around the muzzle area. You want to not make it too cool and you don't want to make it too warm. If you make it too cool, that whole muzzle area will recede too much, and if it make it too warm, it'll come forward too much. I am looking at the black and white version, and I'm also looking at the color version. I'm going to go into this area and keep lightening it a little bit, but being able to still see that color underneath that top layer underneath, and slowly build up to lose all that glazing that I spent such a long time working on. Go in over her neck area because it's a lighter green. Kind of start spotting these other areas a little bit more, going across the contour of her cheeks. Really paying attention to the apple of her cheeks here and thinking about if I were to touch them, how round they would be. Rub it in again a little bit more. Start adding some of that. And that might help bring out the color a little bit more. I don't want her to look dead. I'm going to go in and lightly just move some of this around. And go in this area because it's still really quite bright. Now I'm not going to leave that there. But I kind of want to push that because the red around that area is really quite intense. It's not normal because she has a light in her room that actually is emitting this, is casting off this red. It's not a natural light. I'm going to keep popping these areas a little bit more to really intensify everything. I'm going to go and move that red around. Leave a lot of that, and then I'm going to go in with a cool. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I get my intense colors on here. Up here as well. The lip area around here, you don't really want a lot of hard edges. I'm going to take a little ultramarine blue with a touch of alizarin crimson to make a more of a darker purple. She's starting to look a bit dead over here. So I'm going to create some of these crevices, these grooves where naturally the lip is what it's naturally doing. I'm going to put in a little bit more white. Because that area is so small, it's going to be hard to glaze, period. I'm going to add a little bit more purple in some of this spot because the red is a bit too red. Just drop the intensity down a little bit more. I'm gonna put a little bit more dot purple around right here where the fulcrum's at. Soften that up a little bit more in this area as well. And go in with this brush, actually with my finger, because it's so small. There's a definite line that is underneath, a bit underneath the lips, so I'm going to go in and add just a little bit of that, a little bit darker over here, and then move it around with my brush to create that darker edge along the lip. There's actually even a greener tone that's under there as well. So pick a little bit of my Viridian back up. Take a little of your Viridian with your ultramarine blue, or a little bit of your liquid. I'm gonna pop a little bit of that green back in here. A little bit more around here. And lightening up these areas. I'm going to go in a little bit more right here as well, because it gets a little darker right around here. I'm going to take my other brush. Make sure that I've got that in there. It's so tiny. When you're painting the lip, what you're really doing is painting around it. You're defining all these areas around it, and that's supposed to help with the shape of the lip. Instead of painting just the lip, you're really painting the things around it, and that will suggest where the lip starts and stops. And make sure that I bring that back up, these areas as well. Pushing these areas a little bit more with the Viridian. Take some a little off. I'm going to go in with a little bit more cooler around here as well. A little bit more of the Viridian. I'm going to glaze right on top of my light. Push the green here. This area. Push. I'm going to add a little bit more green in this spot as well by her eyebrow. The beauty of painting this way is it's actually very forgiving, because you can always take off before it dries. I'm going to take a little bit of that yellow and I'm going to push a little bit right here where the fulcrum's at. This area right here along the neck. Really pushing that color and not being afraid to do so. Take a little bit more of that in here. Make sure the lip area over here starts to just stay soft. There's a slight bit of light that hits there, but it's very slight. As I am basically, I'm in the detail stage. So I'm popping the lights, pushing the darks, just a slight blend that.